Hi, management students. Dr. Seibert weighing in on our chapter this week, and it looks like we're looking at work groups. And work groups are so interesting. I feel like this is really, I say this probably about every chapter, but kind of the nuts and bolts of management. If you can manage these work groups and make them productive, that's something that not everybody can do. Okay. You walk a fine line between being very, I guess, boss like or being too friend like. So just think about those things. I guess you want to be more how's leader like. You are listening and taking in and letting your group tell you their thoughts without maybe you weighing in so much. Because once you sway the conversation, then everybody's going to be swayed that way. So just kind of staying out, but maybe you're drawing your group back to the what you're talking about. That I feel like needs to happen a lot in some of the work group meetings that I've been in. So we're talking about some formal and informal groups. Our formal groups, of course, is what we have at work, which a lot of you have told me about your groups at work. I think by now we're figuring out if we have, as an employee, some kind of a word or say or thought towards our job or the goals of the company, it makes us buy in. That makes perfect sense. I think it's kind of like when I read a book, I'm halfway through this book and I'm like kind of on it, but you know what? I'm bought into the concept. Okay. So I'm going to finish this book. So, I feel like we need to buy in, and however we get into that is a good thing. Now, on our formal groups, like I said, we're trying to probably solve some stuff. And we've talked about different techniques for doing that. So, as a manager, that's something that you could implement. Whichever way you want to try to do this in a group, I think that would be great to figure out the different kinds of ways that maybe would be best for your work group and see what what everybody likes. It might be a group think kind of thing that happens. Might be just a brainstorming thing that can be fun. I see that more as I like when I think about brainstorming, which I've done those and they are fun. I see that like as I don't know why, but like a Facebook or a Google kind of thing where everybody's like just brainstorming what comes into their mind for a new idea. So, but it happens in our regular work groups, and that's fine. And one of the dynamics I find interesting is the formal work group and the informal, which we're talking about, because everybody probably at work has their informal group. Now, I'm really kind of, I would say, I'm kind of hard on keeping the informal group. We can talk about work, that's one thing, but we don't want to start complaining. How's that? We don't want to use that as our complaining board or complaining group. Yeah, we're going to say things and stuff, but maybe it should be more constructive. If somebody's really mad or upset, maybe another person in that group can help to listen to the person. A lot of times it's just listening. In an informal group, we don't have to agree that this person is a jerk or this manager, we just we don't like them, whatever. That's always going to happen in work. But if we can be that worker, that employee that listens, and maybe, if asked, you have a thought, but maybe you're just listening. Okay. I see that more as the informal group. I listen to things and I don't really want to give an opinion because I just want to listen. I have my own opinions, but, I just keep them to myself because it's probably best in that kind of an informal situation. Now, once you get to formal situation, if there are avenues for you to talk about these things, then that's a good thing. That's probably one of those things that's best to do it anonymously. So nobody comes back and says, well, you said this, you said that, whatever, if you're going to really have that honest conversation. So you're going to be looking at managers and management. And as we're learning to be a manager, we also want to learn to possibly transform into that leadership position as well, where we are listening to people. And that's what we are doing, listening. And we try to find those solutions and particularly make sure that the group is on board with what we're doing. Of course, there are going to be some company mandates. It could be mandating how you dress, and everybody's going to be unhappy with that, right? But there's nothing we can do about things like that. But what can we do? Can we have jeans on Friday? That's pretty popular. So maybe there's some other ways we're not going to solve that problem, but we can work with what's going on. So your manager is not going to decide that, but maybe a leader would listen to these things. So anyway, that's the groups that we have at work are really interesting and dynamic. And the more that we know somebody, the more it is, I feel like. And so we walk the fine line between listening and then maybe complaining, or maybe our opinion, we don't need to always have one. Okay, we can just listen and be thoughtful about things. But as you work up to management and then leadership, these are things you're going to be solving. So you'll see these things more and more and go, wait a minute, we don't want to solve it in this manner. Maybe I have to take measures now because of something, or it's something that we can go to the group. So like particularly right now with the pandemic, I mean, how many people in leadership had to say, boom, we're doing this, we're doing that, and this is what's happening. And you couldn't have, as a group or a manager, said, oh, I really don't want to wear a mask. No, that's not going to happen. So some things we are out of our hands. But then as we're going along now, think about these things and maybe write them down for resume things if you're doing things at work, or you notice things in your management or your group at work. During the pandemic, are we complaining, or are we trying to solve the problem? Not that we're going to solve a medical problem, but are we helping with the problem? When you're at work, are you the mask police, or are you the one that says, oh, hey, we need our masks on because we're protecting everybody? So just how we maybe talk in our tone is really maybe the difference between where we're just the employee, or maybe we're going to be the manager or the leader. So sometimes we need to take action where the leader will have to do things, but then the manager is going to work to make sure all this is happening. They're the person on the spot right there. So anyway, just think about your formal and informal groups this week. As I read these chapters and I talk to you, I think about them again, and it's interesting just when you're going through it yourself to apply these things. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great week, and we're almost done. So I'll talk to you later.